Hello everyone, welcome to our free coaching call for this week. I got a really good question this week and I wanted to address this one because I hear this all the time. Like, I have to answer this at least a couple of times a year for people. So I really wanted to talk about the topic of how personal do you need to be as an author? Like, as in, how much do you reveal about yourself? How much do you need to show your face? Like, those kinds of things. Because I know that this is an uncomfortable topic for people, so we're going to talk about some things about this today. First, I'm just going to bring up the comments to make sure that if I get any questions, I will find them. So let me know that you're here and that you're live. Okay, so, alright, so to get into this, you've probably heard me talk about this before if you've known me for a bit, and you probably know my stance on this. So I personally believe that authors, I believe all creatives, like musicians, writers, artists, all creatives, all public figures, all brands, like not all brands, but like all individuals who are brands, are personal brands, right? And when you're a personal brand, that is the brand. It's the personal factor, right? So the way I explain this when it comes to books, and like, especially when you, like, to give you the difference, right? If you're a business, I mean, as an author, you're a business, right? But if you're like a business in the sense that you have a team, you are a team, right? You operate as a team, your branding and your logo and your name represents a team. That's a different presentation to you as the author being the thing, right? And the reason you're the thing is because they're your books, right? It's not you and 5 other people writing the books. It's you're writing the books, right? And you, like, that's what makes them your books. It's you're the magic. Like, if you look at Sarah J Maas and you look at 𝗙𝘂𝗹𝗪 and you look at Holly Black, those are 3 different authors who all write fairy books. But they all have a different kind of fairy book that they write. They all have different experiences that they bring to the table. They all have different perspectives and ways of writing and characters that they enjoy writing and worlds that they build that they bring to the table. So someone, like a reader, can read all 3 of those authors, can read from all of them and enjoy all of their books, but they are having 3 different experiences with 3 different brands, right? And 3 different book types because there is a different authors. And that's why when it comes to you building a brand for yourself as an author, it's really important that you kind of embrace that. So I get the question a lot, do I need to show my face? Can I use a pen name? Can I create like a logo, right? At minimum, I would recommend you do that, at minimum. Like, it's not, I would prefer that you actually show your face because that's what's going to connect with people. But if you want to be private, like, I get that's for some people, like, they have to be. They have some kind of issue, they have to protect themselves, their privacy, they don't want to showcase a lot of things. I get it, right? There are situations where sometimes this is the requirement. That's okay. You can have a pen name, you can have a brand that you build, as long as that is strong, as long as you are still connecting with people within that and you're still taking steps to build like a community within that and personal connections and relationships within that. That is the important part because people are not going to buy from sketchy strangers on the internet, right? And you look at, like, when you walk into a bookstore, I think this is where people get a little bit messed up. When you walk into a bookstore and you find a book on the shelf and you don't know the author, like, you've never seen them, you don't know who they are, you've no idea, right? Like, you're not going to know who they are. You might buy the book without knowing that, but you're still going to trust that they are a real person, that book is credible, that you're not buying into a scam because it's there. It's in a credible bookstore. It's in a store that you know and trust, right? Like, that's a different presentation. That's a different way of buying something and selling something. So when it comes to you as the brand, unless you have books in physical bookstores all over the world, unless you have taken that route and done the steps to do that, you have to be able to use your own brand to sell the books because there still needs to be that trust piece. Your readers still need to trust that you are a real legitimate author who does this for a living, that is established, that is professional, that is living the authorly lifestyle. Like, you're out there doing the things, you're writing the books, you're publishing the books, you're doing the signings, you're doing the things, like, you're doing it for a living, before they're going to go, yeah, I'm going to spend my money on this person. Because otherwise it's like, are you a real author? Am I buying into a book that I'm actually going to get in my Kindle, right? it's like there needs to be a trust degree to it. And so the thing about personal connection is that it helps to build that know, like, trust with people. When someone knows you and they like you, that's what builds trust with you, right? So there needs to be a degree of connection there. There needs to be a degree of the way you present yourself, the way you position yourself there. It needs to be legitimate, right? I am certainly not going to go on the internet and find a random stranger who doesn't have a profile photo, who doesn't have like a logo in their photo, maybe has a picture of their dog, or has like a random photo off the internet, or no photo at all. I'm not going to go to them and be like, yes, this is a legitimate person, I'm going to buy from them, right? I'm certainly not going to respond if they say, do you want to buy this thing from me? It's like, it doesn't create that trust. There needs to be like this first impressions matter, right? So let me know if that's making sense so far. And if that's all like kind of landing. So the question really becomes like, okay, so like how do you go forward and do this in a way that feels good to you, right? It becomes this thing around, where are my boundaries? What am I willing to share? What am I not willing to share? And you're allowed to have boundaries. So I put out a post the other day, which got a lot of great responses on it, about things that are a hard no from me, things that I'm absolutely not going to be sharing online ever, right? And the two things that I talked about were my relationships for the most part. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't share relationships and snippets of my life, because like it is my life, you know, but I'm not going to go out of my way every time I'm on a date to be like, look at all the things we're doing. We went for gelato and we went for a walk and we went, you know, to this nice restaurant, and then we went on this trip, and then we did this thing. Like, I will share maybe one piece of that at most. I will share a snippet. I will share that I had a good time. I will share a personal photo that I took. I'm not going to share every single detail from it, because that's my life. And this is another person. This is someone who isn't a public figure, someone who has chosen to not have an online business and not be in the spotlight. I'm not going to put them in the spotlight and be like, now you have to be part of my personal brand because I have to build know, like, trust factor with people. I have to get them to know, like, trust me. I'm not going to do that to someone I like. So I'm not going to do that, you know? And so like, that's a hard no from me. It's like, I like to be present with people when I'm out of work, when I'm out doing things with friends and family and people that I like. So it's like, I'm not going to, like, I have to have boundaries there. It's like, okay, my phone's away. I'm not checking my phone. I'm not selling things on Instagram. I'm not, like, you know, putting up stories and showcasing all the things we do. This is time I spend with people in my life, right? So that's a boundary that I have for me. Another one that I talked about was my future kids, if I have kids, because I am still undecided. But if I ever do, I'm not going to entitle myself to share my kids all over the internet to strangers when I have chosen to have a very public-facing brand. I intend to have a very big brand in 10 years' time. I intend to be very well known and have worked with a lot of people and have a lot of people following me, the good and the bad, right? So I certainly do not want to put up pictures of my kids and have those things floating around for 20 years, especially when they didn't consent to it and they didn't necessarily know the extent of how many people would see those photos, right? Like, I'm sure they would not appreciate that. I want to honor their privacy, and I want to give them the choice to be able to consent to what does and doesn't go up online, and to actually grasp what that actually means. Like, when you're 5 and I'm like, hey, do you want your photo to be seen by hundreds of thousands of people, or should I put it on Instagram? They're not going to know what that means. They might be like, sure, that sounds fun, but they don't know what that means. They literally cannot grasp that, right? So I'm not going to do things like that. These are like my hard boundaries, right? So you can decide, okay, do I want to showcase friends? Do I want to showcase family? Do I want to showcase these interests, these hobbies? Do I want to showcase this quirk of mine or that thing that I do, right? You get to choose, but you do want to open up a little bit, right? So some things that I've shared over the years, like to give you examples, this is where it can be helpful to do content pillars and really pick like 3 to 5 things that are personal to you, that you're happy to share on a regular basis to build the consistency of someone knowing a piece of you, right? Which is important to feel that connection factor. It's kind of like if I meet a fellow cat owner or cat person, I'm going to feel closer to them because I'm like, okay, we have something in common. We have something we both like. We have something we both agree on, right? If I meet a dog person, it's not that I don't like dogs. It's just that I don't feel the same way about dogs. So I don't connect with them as well, right? It's like, okay, you're a dog person. I don't get it. I don't really get the hype, right? I don't, like, doesn't light me up. If I connect with a fellow I don't know, someone who likes a certain TV show that I'm really obsessed with, I will be like, oh my gosh, we have to talk about everything about it because we're both super into it. If someone says, I'm really into, I don't know, like this particular video game, we're like, okay, I don't get it, right? Like, it's that connection factor. So things that I've shared are like my love of musicals. I've shared certain TV shows that I like. I've shared that I really hate the cold. Like, there's just these little things that you get to know about me. Like some of my favorite foods. I like to bake sometimes. I like to cook new things sometimes. I'm a big fan of sweet and savory type foods. You'll see me cook a lot of pizza and pasta if I ever share that. You know that I really like my hot beverages. I have one every morning. I like to drink tea and chai lattes and sometimes coffee and a lot of hot chocolate. And you know that I have some paintings that I do. I do art classes sometimes. So the paintings are ones that I've actually painted. You know what books I write. You know these little things about me, right? And it's just pieces. Then they're definitely not a picture of my whole life, but they're enough for you to go, I know this person. I know this person and I like this person. I like the things she talks about. I like her vibe. I like her values. I like her beliefs. I like, you know, certain things about her. And so that builds the know, like, trust. This is how people are able to discover me in a week and decide if they want to buy from me or not. Because I'm public, right? I like showcase these things. And yet, I certainly don't showcase everything. I don't showcase, you know, like a lot of people in my life, and I don't showcase a lot of what I do on a day-to-day basis because there's just some things that don't need to be said, right? So you get to decide. Like, if that helps you feel more comfortable with it, take your power back around it and remember that you get to decide what goes public and really get strategic with it. Just sit down and decide, like, what are the things I'm going to share? What am I going to be intentional around? And what am I going to do with consistency so that that actually sticks and has the effect I want it to? And then how can I be really intentional with making sure that nothing else goes public, that I don't want to go public? Because you get to decide, right? So that is that piece of it. I might just quickly check comments here as well. Let me know if you have any questions. No questions so far. Hopefully that's all making sense. There was something else I wanted to say. That's right. I just wanted to share this little factor as well. So when I did my book Kingdom of Sirens and Monsters, which I wrote last year, to recap in case you're new, I did it as an experiment. So I told people at the end of 2020, I'm going to write a book in secret. I'm going to do a secret book under a secret pen name. I'm not going to reveal what it is until 2022. Right, so I went ahead and did that, and the whole year I teased little snippets and things about it, but I never told anyone what the book was, and I never told anyone who I was, like what the pen name was, and it's that book behind me. And it released early this year in January, and then I finally announced and revealed everything about it. So my experiment with this was that I wanted to, like, track and analyze the data of having a pen name, because I didn't show anything about my face. I didn't do that. I had like a total brand persona that I built. I didn't showcase details about myself that I had already showcased for the past 4 years at that time in this business, right? Because I knew that people would know things about me and would be able to guess who I was. So I was very intentional in only showing things that I knew I hadn't talked about before. That was still me. It was still true and authentic to me. I made sure that it felt really good to me. But it was stuff that I had just never talked about before. So I was really careful about it. And I did this to prove that, one, you can do it successfully. There are ways to do it that can feel good to you, that, you know, you don't have to reveal everything. But I also did it so that I could look at the data before I showed my face and afterwards, because I personally believe that when you show your face online, it just gets better results. It's just faster. It's just, there's more connection, there's more trust, there's more personality to it, and you just see results faster as a result. So it depends whether you're willing to trade that off or not. But I definitely saw a difference once I revealed my face and I started to do the live streams and I started to talk and share photos and like really get more personal with people in that sense. People trusted me more. People started buying from me more. People started to follow me more, right? And it was a noticeable difference. So I did that to prove my point, because I've been saying this for years, and people would say, well, that sounds, you know, good and all, but I don't want to do that. And it was like, well, do you, like, now that I show you the difference between the two, it's like, do you see why it's important, right? So it's up to you. I'm not saying it doesn't work, because it worked both ways, but it definitely worked better the other way. And if you want faster growth and progress, then it might be something that you factor in, right? It might be something that you choose to do. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. It was a bit of a shorter call. I just wanted to kind of touch on those few things and explain the difference there. So we talked about how you're a personal brand and how your books they're an extension of you. You know, they're your books for a reason. They're not you and 5 other people's books. So it's important that you embody and own you as the author. Even if you do that by building a pen name and brand persona for you, that is still better than just showing up like a random stranger on the internet who's writing for fun, right? Like, you've got to have the pieces there. But building the know, like, trust is the most important thing. Building the connection is the most important thing. So it's important that you do get comfortable sharing just a couple of things about you. They don't have to be like big things. And you know what? They can be things that thousands of other people have in common with you. It's like, it's not going to be a dead giveaway that that's you and you live on this street in this town and you have like 5 kids. Like, these things are not going to be giveaways, right? These things are going to be things that just make other people feel like they know you a bit better and they have things in common with you and therefore they feel close to you, right? So it can just be really simple little things, but it can be things that showcase, yes, you're a real human, you're legitimate, you're doing this as a real thing, and people can trust you, right? That's what you want to create, is the trust piece. Okay, so like that's the whole goal with all of these things. So let me know if that's making sense. Let me know if that's landing. But that's basically it. So I think I will check comments one more time and maybe hang out for just 1 minute in case I do have any questions coming in, because I know there's a lag. But other than that, I will otherwise wrap it up. And definitely, like, by the way, guys, please submit questions. I know that like obviously I'm not going to force you to come up with a question every week, but if you have something on your mind, if you have something that you're currently trying to work through, please submit it to the form. I just, like, the more questions I get, the more calls I can do, and the more I can help you and actually solve problems that you are currently having. Like, I do this to connect with you. This is one of my connection strategies, to make sure that you're getting what you need. And I also do this for free when I could be charging for it. So I want people to value it. But the other thing is that, like, if you're struggling, right, if you don't have things that you need help with every week, that's something to look at, because, like, I am always making moves in my business. I am always working on things, going through things, struggling with things, dealing with things, having breakthroughs with things, right? That's because I'm always taking action. So if you don't have things coming up for you regularly, and you don't have things that are maybe on your mind that you want to submit to the form, or questions or things that you're wondering about, or that you're working through, or that you maybe want some support around, that kind of indicates to me that maybe you're not taking enough action. Maybe you're playing smaller than you should be, right? And maybe that's something to look at in itself. Like, maybe that's something that you want to submit is like, how do you take big action? Actually, I think I did a live stream on this, either that or it's scheduled in. Let me check. I think it's gone out. It might even be, let me check my YouTube channel real quick, because if it's gone out, it'll be over there. It's a live stream around the things that have gotten me to where I am now 5 years in, because I didn't get here by doing nothing, you know what I mean? So it's on there. It's one that says, I would hope you're doing these things if you're serious about being an author. If you haven't watched that and you feel like you've got nothing coming up every week, I would go watch that. It's on my YouTube channel. It's also in here. And the reason being that, like, I got here because I'm doing certain things on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, on a monthly basis to move my author brand forward all the time, because that is the requirement for me now to be having the success that I have. Like, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't doing these things regularly. So go and watch that and see if there's maybe areas where you might be playing small, because I think that's a really important conversation too. That is everything. I'm going to wrap this one up. So hopefully this was helpful. Let me know if it was, and I will chat to you next time. Okay.